What's up, everybody? My name is Amy, and this is the Ruby Pearl Glamper True Crime Podcast.
Put your wave and you're sitting on top of the world.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ruby Pearl Glamper True Crime Podcast. My name is Amy. Welcome to my show. Hope everyone is having a wonderful evening. I've personally had a little bit of a bad day myself. They had to cut our electricity off for a while today to do some work, and so I sort of, missed out this morning getting to watch everything live as Bryan Kohberger, went to court and everything. So I had to get caught up on everything once the electricity and Wi-Fi and everything came back on. So I was going through my comments today and checking some things, and I noticed that I had some comments from people who were congratulating me on my 1-year anniversary here on YouTube. And I want to give a shout out to one of those people because he taught me everything I know about podcasts. So I want to give a shout out to my friend Quincy over at the Talk to Q radio show, who I participated on, the Talk to Q radio show for a long time as a show legend. And I just want to say thank you to Quincy for teaching me, everything I know about podcast, and he knows how passionate I am about true crime, and he has been supportive in me starting my own podcast. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Quincy at Talk to Q radio show, and just say thank you. And say hi to all my fellow show legends over there. Buck, Ray, Amanda, Eminem, and everyone. And I miss you guys. And love you guys so much. I haven't forgot you. I've just been really, into creating my podcast. So, well, Bryan Kohberger arrived back in Idaho, And he did appear in court today and was shown, the probable cause affidavit. He didn't make a plea or anything like that today. He was just presented with the probable cause affidavit that led to his arrest and why he was arrested for the murders of Xana Kernodle, Ethan Chapin. Hi, Mozzie Star. How are you? Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogen, and Kaylee Gonclaves, who were murdered in their off-campus house at the University of Idaho in the early morning hours of November the 13th, 2022. And, this affidavit was, somewhat redacted, but, and it's 19 pages long. And it didn't, give us, everything we wanted to know, but it did, what it does is it gives us the probable cause and the reasoning of why he was arrested, why Bryan Kohberger was arrested for these murders. We did learn some new information, of course, in this affidavit, and I want to go over some of these things. So, the affidavit is the information in the affidavit is provided by Corporal Brett Payne, who is being assisted by the members of the Idaho State Police and the Federal Bureau of Investigations. It says, on November the 13th, 2022, at approximately 4 p.m., Moscow Police Department Sergeant Blaker and I responded to 1122 King Road, Moscow, Idaho, hereafter the King Road residence. That's what it will be referred to in the affidavit. To assist with scene security and processing of a crime scene associated with 4 homicides. Upon our arrival, the Idaho State Police forensic team was on scene and was preparing to begin processing the scene. Moscow Police Department Officer Smith, one of the initial responding officers to the incident, advised he would walk me through the scene. Now, I'm not going to go through like all of this, but Officer Smith and I entered the King Road residence through the bottom floor door on the north side of the building. Officer Smith and I then walked upstairs to the second floor. Officer Smith directed me down the hallway to the west bedroom on the second floor, which I later learned through Xana's driver's license and other personal belongings found in the room was Xana Kernodle's, hereafter referred to as Kernodle room. Just before this room, there was a bathroom door on the south wall of the hallway. As I approached the room, I could see a body, later identified as Kernodle's, laying on the floor. Kernodle was deceased with wounds which appeared to have been caused by an edged weapon. Also in the room was a male, later identified as Ethan Chapin, hereafter Chapin. Chapin was also deceased with wounds later determined Whoops. Where did it go? Excuse me. Anyway, the medical examiner's office determined that Ethan's death was caused by sharp force injuries. I then followed Officer Smith upstairs to the third floor of the residence. The third floor consisted of 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. The bedroom on the west side of the floor was later determined to be Kaylee Gonclaves, hereafter Gonclaves' room. I later learned from the review of Officer Noon's body camera there was a dog in the room when Moscow police officers initially responded. The dog belonged to Gonclaves and her ex-boyfriend Jack DeCoeur. I found out from my interview with Jack DeCoeur on November the 13th that he and Gonclaves shared the dog. Officer Smith then pointed out a small bathroom on the east side of the third floor. The bathroom shared a wall with Madison Mogen's, hereafter Mogen bedroom, which was situated on the southeast corner of the third floor. As I entered this bedroom, I could see 2 females in the single bed in the room. Both Gonclaves and Mogen were deceased with visible stab wounds. I also later noticed what appeared to be a tan leather knife sheath laying on the bed next to Mogen's right side when viewed from the door. The sheath was later processed and had K-Bar, USMC, and the United States Marine Corps Eagle Globe and Anchor insignia stamped on the outside of it. The Idaho State Lab later located a single source of male DNA suspect profile left on the button snap of the knife's sheath. So, let's stop and talk about that for just a second. Apparently, the suspect, Bryan Kohberger, left the accused suspect, Bryan Kohberger, left his knife sheath there. Now, the fact that it was found on Madison's bed, that tells me that he did indeed go up to the third floor and start these vicious murders with Madison and Kaylee. A scene I don't even want to have to try and picture in my mind. So, trigger warning, but I'm going to say that he, I guess, laid the knife sheath down on the bed after he took the knife out and began to stab them. You know, normally you put a knife sheath on your belt. So, you know, why he didn't have the knife sheath attached to a belt, you know, where you just carry it on your hip and then you just pull the weapon out and, you know, begin to do whatever you're going to do with that knife. You know, I don't know. Apparently, he then came down the stairs and, you know, that's when he killed Ethan and Xana. So I'm going to go through some more stuff. One thing we learned new was that now we have all assumed that everyone was asleep, that they were killed in their sleep. No, apparently they were not asleep. Xana received a DoorDash order at 4 a.m. in the morning. So the initial time frame of the murders that the police gave, which was between 3 and 4 a.m., was incorrect. because Xana received a DoorDash order. Dylan Mortensen, one of the surviving roommates, we have learned her bedroom was actually on the second floor. That's, been a big debate. Was she downstairs in the bottom floor with Bethany Funk, or was she on that in that second bedroom? Turns out she was on the second floor in that second bedroom. When the killer came back down the stairs, apparently he encountered Dylan Mortensen. And Dylan Mortensen has described to the police that a masked man dressed in black with a black, like ski mask on or whatever, approached her, more or less. And she just stood there frozen. But rather than kill her, he walked on past her and proceeded out the sliding back glass door. At that time, she shut her door and locked it. Dylan stated to the police that she heard Kaylee upstairs playing with her dog, that she was awoken about 4 a.m. By the sound of Kaylee playing with her dog. So apparently Kaylee was still awake as well. Also, Xana was on TikTok. She was watching TikTok videos at 4 a.m. And she also, like I said, received the DoorDash. It is not stated, there's nothing stated about hearing or seeing or anything having to do with Madison or Ethan or Bethany Funk, for that matter, who was downstairs on the bottom floor. She said she also heard a voice say, "It's okay, I'm here to help you." She heard crying, and as I said, she encountered a masked man with bushy eyebrows. And then she, went in her bedroom and locked the door. So what it amounted to was Dylan had opened her bedroom door 2 or 3 different times, according to this affidavit. And because she heard noises, she heard someone say, "There's someone here," and different things. So she chose to, and once she sees a masked stranger in her home, well, she just locks the door. And anyway, hi Charlie, how are you? You're here eating dinner. Well, should be eating. Actually, I haven't even ate all day. It's kind of been a bad day for me. I have good days and bad days, and it's just been kind of a bad day for me. It happens. Mental health is a daily battle. You know that. So let me get through some more of this affidavit. Now, another thing is that this this affidavit goes into a lot of surveillance cameras and whatnot that show the white Hyundai Elantra going back and forth to the King Road residence several times that night. Like going back and forth by there, driving by and leaving and coming back. So apparently, he was, driving back and forth by there, I guess, waiting for the right time to commit these murders. Also, from their investigation into, different surveillance videos and phone information, phone pings and whatnot. Bryan Kohberger, I don't think visited is the right word to use, but Bryan Kohberger, his cell phone was pinged in the area of 11222 King Road around 13 different times, at least 13 different times, from August to November, till right before November the 13th, when the murders were committed. Apparently he was stalking them, is what you pretty much gather from all this different surveillance video and phone pings and whatnot, that he had basically been stalking them since August. Of course, we don't know, why he was stalking them or anything, but they were able to prove that he had been stalking this residence and driving back and forth past it several different times, making trips from Pullman, Washington to Moscow, Idaho. So, I do believe that one of the night of the murders, I do believe that one of those passing by times was caught on video, was caught on the police body cam video and whatnot, when those three boys were being ticketed for underage drinking. It's just crazy to me that there were so many people out that night and so many people running around there in that little area of King Road and all those apartment complexes and Sigma Chi, the band field and whatnot. There were a lot of people running around in that area. We see them on video. So, how none of them or no one saw this car creeping around there, or, him creeping around there or anything like that is beyond me. I just wonder if they have questioned those kids since then, that were given the underage drinking tickets, as to what they might have saw, or if they happened to see that Elantra, at least saw the car creeping around. And, there were other people running around out there that night. You see those figures in the background, at least 4 to 5 figures in the background of the police body cam video. Who were they? We don't know who they were. So, did they see anything? Have any of them come forward, whoever they may be, and say, yeah, I saw that Elantra, or I saw a, guy creeping around there, or something. It's just hard for me to believe that no physical person saw anything. But anyway, so now they believe that the murders occurred sometime between after 4, when Xana got the DoorDash order, and sometime between 4 and 4:30 or so. So the timeline has now changed with this information. In the affidavit here, it says a review of footage from multiple videos obtained from the King Road neighborhood showed multiple sightings of suspect vehicle 1. That's Bryan Kohberger's car, the Hyundai Elantra, the white Hyundai Elantra. Starting at 3:29 a.m. and ending at 4:20 a.m. These sightings show suspect vehicle 1 makes an initial 3 passes by the 1122 King Road residence and then leave via Walenta Drive. Based off my experience as a patrol officer, this is a residential neighborhood with a very limited number of vehicles that travel in the area during the early morning hours. Upon review of the video, there are only a few cars that enter and exit this area during this time frame. Oh, okay, yeah, Charlie. Let's go ahead and stop here. What questions do you have that you wanted to know about or ask? Oh, okay. Well, I tell you what, just start posting your questions, and I'm going to read through just a little bit more of this. Law enforcement officers provided video footage of suspect vehicle 1 to forensic examiners with the FBI that regularly utilize surveillance footage to identify the year, make, and model of an unknown vehicle. I did some research personally on Hyundai Elantras, and from 2011 to, I think I went up to about 2016 or 17 maybe when I was looking, and they all look alike except for, I believe it's the 2013 model, where that back window, the back seat windows had that like check mark type style. The window has that like a check mark style window, where the 2013 is just straight. That's the only difference. But other than that, they all practically look just alike, from what I could tell. But now I just looked at them on a computer. I was going to actually go to the Hyundai dealer in Hot Springs and talk with somebody, and then you know, they arrested him. So I didn't see any further point in doing that. So I decided, I didn't see any real point in finding that information out. The camera, all the video surveillance cameras, they also, catch him, his route, basically his route to the residence and from the residence, from Pullman, Washington to Moscow, Idaho, from his house to their house. So there's a lot of that in here in the affidavit. A lot of that information, which once they found out, they did finally ID the car as belonging to Bryan Kohberger, and that's when they started basically putting him under surveillance. And because they had Washington State, university cops looking for this white Hyundai Elantra. I mean, they had, everybody in the surrounding areas looking for this car. So, and I believe it was, it says here that he was also detained as part of a traffic stop once by Washington State University police officer, and it was determined that Kohberger was the sole occupant and was driving a 2015 Hyundai Elantra with a Pennsylvania plate. One thing that came out was he apparently got a new license plate 5 days after the murders. Now I don't know what excuse you would give to go to the DMV and say, hey, I need a new license plate, unless you go in there and say somebody stole the license plate off my car, or it fell off, or something. I don't know. I have no need to think like the mind of a criminal. So, and I'm not trying to plan the perfect murder. So, I don't see any point in all that. But, they just basically, they put him under surveillance and they watched him for a while. And on December the 16th, 2022, at approximately 2:26 p.m., surveillance video showed Kohberger's Elantra in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. The sole occupant of the vehicle was a white male whose description was consistent with Kohberger. Kohberger has family in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, and they determined that by using a tool database of some type. And it goes into what his education is and stuff, and then of course they got warrants on the his phone and whatnot, and pinging it and all that kind of stuff. The only thing that really came out of this was that Bryan's phone did not ping in the 1122 King Road area on the night of the murders. Now, that's because, most people know now that you can be tracked by your phone. The police can track your movements. So if you're trying to, commit a crime, you don't want to carry your phone with you. Or you want to shut it off or leave it behind or something, in an effort to, cover up your crime. So they did determine that, but, still. Let's see. Just still talks about more cellular data and okay. So in closure, on December 27th, 2022, Pennsylvania agents recovered the trash from the Kohberger family residence located in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. That evidence was sent to the Idaho State Lab for testing. On December 28th, 2022, the Idaho State Lab reported that a DNA profile obtained from the trash and the DNA profile obtained from the sheath, that's the knife sheath that was left behind, identified a male as not being excluded as the biological father of suspect profile. At least 99.9998% of the male population would be expected to be excluded from the possibility of being the suspect's biological father. Based on the above information, I am requesting an arrest warrant be issued for Bryan C. Kohberger, date of birth 11/21/94, for burglary at 1122 King Street in Moscow, Idaho, and 4 counts of murder in the first degree for the murders of Madison Mogen, Kaylee Gonclaves, Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. So that's pretty much the end of the probable cause affidavit. The one thing I wanted to mention was that the Corner Club has come out and said that Bryan Kohberger was not at the Corner Club the night of the murders. So, and obviously he wasn't at the Sigma Chi party. So, we want to figure out, first of all, how he came in contact with Madison, Kaylee, and Xana, even possibly Bethany or Dylan or Ethan. How he came into contact with these kids, and why did he begin watching them? Why did he begin stalking them and stalking the residents at 1122 King Road? How did he come into contact with these kids? Did he meet them? Did he eat at the Mad Greek, where Xana and Maddie worked at? Did he meet them at the Corner Club at some point between August and November. These are the answers that we still don't know. And these are the answers basically that Bryan himself holds. We don't know why he did this yet. So, okay, Charlie, what are your questions? What did you want to talk about? Because I'm ready for discussion. So if you want to start posting your questions, well, I will answer them, or we can talk about it, or whatever. Hold on, I'm right. I am so floored by this. There has been mention that his obsession with being a vegan or whatnot has something to do with, he allegedly had cannibalist impulses. Now, how true any of that is, I have no idea. I don't know. Like I said, I'm anxious to see what comes out of what they confiscated from his home, his apartment, his office. How did they find out what was said inside the house? The girl who locked herself, she told them. Dylan Mortensen told the police what she heard and what she saw and everything. And once again, now that this has come out, people are coming back down on Dylan. And she, if you're familiar with fight or flight, there's more components to fight or flight. There's fight, there's flight, there's freeze, and there's excuse me, flop. And she froze. Now, why she locked her door and went in her bedroom and locked her door and didn't call the police, didn't call 911, she's the only person that knows the answer to that. I don't know if she was too scared that he was going to come back or what, but once she locked the door, she could have went and got in the closet, got her phone. Yeah, she survived. Yeah, Charlie, he literally walked almost directly up to her and paused and kept going and went out the sliding back glass door, because she had opened her door several times trying to see what all the different commotion and things were. So now we know that this whole I didn't hear anything is not true. As far as hearing things on the different floors or whatever. She heard Kaylee upstairs playing with her dog. She heard Xana. She heard, so, but yeah, I mean, why she did not go when she got in her room and locked the door. I mean, you're she basically, I guess, just froze. She was just too terrified to do anything other than protect herself. But even if you have to call 911 and say, my name is Dylan Mortensen. I live at 1122 King Road. There's somebody in the house. We need the police here. Hurry, hurry. Even if you have to whisper. Yeah, we've also heard that the dog was barking. So the dog was barking. The dog did bark at the perpetrator. That's been one of the biggest deals that everybody has all wondered about. Didn't the dog bark? Wouldn't that have woke him up? Yes, the dog was barking. Sure, go ahead, Charlie. That's what we're here. We're here to discuss. So, I'm not going to, blame her, because we all react differently to, fear and a stressful situation. We all, for instance, my cousin Drew, who was killed in a car wreck in 2011, she played softball, and my cousin is an RN. And one time during a game, Drew walked up behind a girl in the batter box, or on deck. It's called on deck. You have your batter, and then you have your batter on deck. She walked up behind a girl who was the batter on deck, and that girl went to do a practice swing, and she swung her bat behind her and smacked Drew right in the mouth and knocked all Drew's teeth out, knocked her front teeth out. And Susan, my cousin, who is an RN, she froze. She literally froze, standing there looking at her child bleeding from the mouth. So, we all react differently. I took care of my sick mother my entire life. From the time I was a child, I had to do things for my mother. I had to help her take a shower. I had to help her get dressed, put her shoes on, all kinds of things. So I have an instinct that when I see something wrong, or I see someone hurt, or whatever, is I just automatically react and help the person. I've done that twice with people in car wrecks, strangers that I've helped, and did not stop to think about AIDS or HIV or hepatitis or anything. I just reacted to providing care for the person. So, everyone reacts different. So, yes, he was around the house 12 different times between August and November. He was driving back and forth around that house, and watching that house. I figured that, of course, some people, now there's absolutely no excuse whatsoever for him to have killed these kids. No excuse whatsoever. But we do know that, people fixate on people. We know that people will just snap and kill you for looking at them wrong these days. I mean, there's you got road rage, you've got, just all sorts of different things that people just snap at the drop of a hat. And I figured that he was possibly at the corner club that night. And if he was fixated on Kaylee, that maybe, he saw her talking to Jack at the club and thought, oh, I guess, they're getting back together. So now I don't have a chance with her. And if I can't have her, nobody can have her, or, maybe he saw her and Madison walking to the grub truck with Jack Showalter, anything that could have set him off to have committed these murders that night. Anything. Even if he was just met them or just saw them for the first time that night at the corner club and he said hello to them and, they just rolled their eyes and, or maybe he offered to buy them a drink and, or tried to talk to them and they just blew him off. Something. But apparently not. So it's as if he was stalking them from a distance. So, it's just all kind of weird. But I'm anxious to hear if, once now that they've, confiscated things, from his homes and office and car and all that kind of stuff, if there's going to be any evidence of him having any kind of ideation, of the girls or planning of this murder or anything like that. Now I don't know how much of the information that they, do find out from, everything that was confiscated, how much we will learn about or find out about, in the upcoming months and stuff, up to the trial, because there has been a gag order issued. So, we will not be hearing any more from the Idaho Police Department or the FBI or anything, or Pennsylvania police or anything like that. There's been a gag order issued. So, how much evidence that was confiscated from his personal stuff that we'll find out anything that, connecting to these murders is, we'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, me too. That's all I want to know is why. I want to know why. I was thinking about this earlier. He studied under that professor of BTK, who, wrote the book on BTK. And, he's been compared to Ted Bundy. And, how Ted Bundy went in that sorority house and did the same thing. Except he beat all them with a ball bat or some kind of club or whatever. I don't look too much into Ted Bundy because Ted Bundy triggers me. He looks just like my former stepfather. I mean, just like him. And my former stepfather was extremely mean and very abusive towards me and my mother. And it just weirds me out and triggers me too bad to, do too much research about Ted Bundy. He's not one of these serial killers that I've done, deep dives on and know a whole lot about. I just know, the basics about him because I just simply can't even look at him because he looks just like my former stepfather. So yeah, he had to know one of the girls. Absolutely, he had to. But I was thinking about this earlier, and I was thinking about these people that, one of the things about serial killers and criminology and whatnot is, the studying of the criminal mind. And, in studying the criminal mind, you want to know, how did you choose your victims? How did you know this, or what did you do that, or, and whatnot. And some killers just simply choose their victims at random. They don't have any particular victim in mind. Now, I believe it was Ted Bundy, though, that targeted brunettes that looked like his former girlfriend or something. Yes, he did want to interview and talk with criminals and stuff like that. That's the whole post, thing that was put on Reddit, and which for a criminology student to be doing research like that, it's not out of the ordinary, because that is what that's what criminology is. It's studying the criminal mind. So you want to talk to these serial killers and murderers and things like that. You want to know how they chose their victims. Why did they choose to use this certain kind of weapon? Why did they do this, and how did they do that? Yeah, they want to you want to know all this kind of stuff, because that kind of stuff is crucial to things such as criminal profiling and just as sick as it is. I mean, you want to know. It's important to know, especially when you're trying to figure these people out and understand these people. It's just part of the study, and I mean, I've studied, my two, as warped as this sounds, My two favorite serial killers are Charlie Manson and Eileen Wuornos. And so I've done, a lot of extensive research on them and whatnot. And now there's some, that I just can't do extensive research on, and that's these ones that are a whole lot. Oh yeah. That are a whole lot more gruesome, such as the BTK killer and Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer. I have a friend who was a federal marshal, and he was stationed in Milwaukee during the Dahmer arrest. And yeah, he was one of the officers that went in there and had to tote all that shit out of there. Can you imagine? He also had to chase down Squeaky Fromm when Squeaky Fromm ran off from jail. So Charlie for president, and on the back it said Charlie don't serve. How funny. Well, that I love his music. Of course I'm just a hippie, so I mean I of course love his music. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. There's a difference in being a fan, rather than finding, it's hard to explain, but I know exactly what you're talking about, Charlie, because I feel the same way. And with Eileen Wuornos, do I condone what she did? No. I just think that she killed the wrong people. I know why she did what she did, and if she'd killed the right people, then I could say, yeah, I don't blame her one bit. But that's the only real issue with Eileen, is that I think she killed the wrong people. But I do believe that Richard Mallory did something to her, and after that, she snapped. So, but what that woman lived through her entire life is, should never happen to anyone. The things that happened to Charlie, him being beaten and abused in all those reformatory schools and places that he was sent, those kind of things just should not happen. People don't understand that the abuse of a child, the abuse and neglect and desertion and things like that at a young age, how it develops you into who you are later in life as an adult, how you think, it messes with your emotions, and it causes you to develop certain mental illnesses. So, and both Charlie and Eileen, from very young ages, were, they were abused, and just the different things that they went through basically sort of molded them into how they would later become. in adulthood. The things that I've been through and whatnot. What you see today is in me is the result of all that. And I'm pretty good at covering my feelings and hiding a lot of things. But if you really knew me and you really sat here and spent day after day after day, you would understand, and you would see how the things that I've been through in my life and the abuse that I suffered from childhood, and being deserted by my father, and abused by my stepmother, abused by my stepfather, bullied in school, all those kind of things, how it all affected me, and how it all results in the person you see today. If you really study Charlie Manson, which I know you have, you would find out he was intelligent. He I've always said that street smarts will get you further in life than book smarts. And like when I talk to somebody, you go to these therapists and counselors and whatnot. I don't want to talk to somebody with a bunch of freaking degrees and a bunch of book intelligence and what they've read in a book. I want to talk to somebody who's been through personally whatever the subject may be that I want to talk to them about, whether it be abuse, whether it be rape, whether it be alcohol or drug addiction. I want to talk to someone who's been through it, because if you haven't experienced it or been through it, then you can't possibly understand how someone feels or what makes someone the way they are. My aunt used to tell me, Amy, you have a big chip on your shoulder. But she never thought to, no one in my family did. They've never stopped to think about why I have that big chip on my shoulder. They've also never stopped to think that I could have inherited any arthritis or rheumatoid arthritis or any other illnesses from my mother. But who's done the research to see that that the genetics in our family is there? Me. But they just they only see things as their way or the highway, and they don't stop to think about why I'm so negative, or why I'm got a big chip on my shoulder, or why I hate the kids I went to school with, or just different things like that, and no one ever bothers to ask me why either. They've always just pointed out my faults, pointed out my flaws, pointed this out and pointed that out. They've never stopped to consider why. And I think that's why the why in everything is so important to me. I think that is, the why. I want to know why. Because no one ever asked me why. Why do you feel this way? Or why do you feel that way? Or why do you act this way? Or why do you act that way? No one's ever asked me why. Or even the people that know me intimately have ever stopped to consider, well, they know what I've been through, not to, not maybe not to complete extent, but they know what I've been through. What was it my aunt said to me when my father died? Yeah, Amy, you really got the shit end of the stick with that family. Lady, you have no idea. You have no idea what that redheaded bitch put me through. Yeah, never ask positive questions like why. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I get so angry about. And, it's part of the reason why. I mean, of course, there's not much of my family left. I've got an aunt, and then I've got an uncle that, Gabby, don't traipse through stuff, honey. She wants to dance around right here in my space. But, they just don't. But, oh, by all means, you're supposed to excuse what their kids have done. And they all wanted to hide all the shit that their kids have done. Um, several of my cousins were drug addicts. They've been to rehab. They've been to jail. They've, all sorts of stuff. I've got a cousin. He lives in Oklahoma, and he's funny as hell. I just love him to death. But anyway, his mama, which is one of my other aunts, she was bragging one day about how Brad had been sober for a year. He was a cocaine addict, and she was bragging to him about, oh, Brad's been sober for a year now, blah 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 blah. Without missing a beat, he said, my cousin said, well, Mama, I've been drunk for 15 years and y'all didn't even know it. Oh, he told me and Mama that one time on the phone, and I just died laughing. It was just so funny. You'd have to know my cousin Tim to understand. Yeah, I've been drunk for 15 years and y'all didn't even know it. But yeah, they've always wanted to try to hide all their kids' stuff. And but yet I'm like the black sheep of the family. They'll sit and talk shit about me, But I didn't mean to get off on that subject. God, I'll be here from now till doomsday talking about all that kind of my family. But you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. Anyway, back to Bryan Kohberger. So his sister has apparently was in a movie in 2011, and I'm going to try to watch the movie after I end this live. I think I can watch it on. I looked it up, and I think I can watch it on Plex TV. But it's apparently about some college students who get stabbed to death. Coincidentally, people are talking about that. His sister's name is Amanda Kohberger. The name of the movie is was it 2 weeks back or 2 days back or something to that nature. You can Google it. Just look up Amanda Kohberger or Bryan Kohberger's sister movie or something. Yeah, exactly. In that, I mean, there's a lot of weird uh, stuff surrounding this guy. After studying under the professor that is a BTK and serial killer expert. His sister was in a slasher movie. Him studying criminology and criminal justice and psychology and all that. And, it's just, it just goes to show that you just don't never know people. You just don't ever know. And it's weird and it's creepy. I mean, oh, but yeah, I really want to know why this guy did what he did. But Charlie, we're talking about Charlie Manson, and I'm kind of thinking that we might possibly get that whole Charlie Manson denial act out of him. I'm seriously wondering because the that brewery that he hung out in Pennsylvania, a lot of some of the female staff and female patrons reported him as being creepy and asking, creepy questions and, getting upset when they wouldn't engage in conversation with them, asking them things like, who are you here at the bar with? Where do you work? Or where do you live? Where, and, things like that. And then when the manager approached him about it one night when he came in, he's like, what are you talking about? You must have me confused with the wrong person. I don't understand what I've done wrong. And then when he was arrested, well, has anybody else been arrested? And then apparently he stated on his way back to Idaho, or when he got back to Idaho, at some point, he asked, he said, I didn't do anything. And that the shopping was better in Moscow, Idaho, rather than Pullman, Washington. What were you shopping for? I mean, if one Walmart's got it, then other Walmart's got it too. Dollar General's got the same thing no matter where you go. So what were you shopping for? Victims? You didn't want to commit a crime or kill anybody that close to your home? I mean, but yeah, I didn't do anything wrong. What did I do wrong? I mean, I'm wondering if we're going to get that whole Charlie Manson denial, manipulative denial out of him. He Charlie's all like, I can't make somebody do something that they didn't already want to do, or I didn't tell those people to go kill anybody. That's Charlie was very manipulative, and of course, he used drugs and sex and, his whole preaching of what he was, things that he was like preaching about, such as, helter skelter and the whole race war and everything. But he just flat always denied that he had anything to do with the Tate LaBianca murders, and that he never told them people to go kill those people. Yes, he did. I mean, the reason why they went to the Cielo Drive house to begin with was because, Charlie was mad at Terry Melcher and everybody, because he didn't get his recording contract that he wanted, and all, just all that different stuff, and I don't know whether or not he actually in his own mind believed that there was going to be a race war, or if he just created all that to manipulate his followers. Yeah, definitely. I the whole thing, I don't mean to get off on a completely another subject, talking about Charlie, but his whole thing about helter skelter and all that, and it has never made a whole lot of sense. Because it's like he used this excuse of this whole race war to kickstart helter skelter, in order to kill what he thought was, the people that he was seeking revenge against. But yes, he did, but didn't he claim he wasn't there? Yeah, he claimed he wasn't there. He claimed that he wasn't there at any of the murders. Now it's none of the followers said that he, was at the Cielo Drive residence, but he was allegedly at the LaBianca house, but he left right before the killings or whatever. So, I'm not sure, but I'm just seeing some parallels between him and Charlie, in that between Bryan Kohberger and Charlie Manson, and the whole, just denying everything. And I'm wondering how much of his education he's going to use to try to manipulate his way out, or think that he can manipulate his way out of these charges. It's claimed that he was anxious to get back to Idaho and face these charges to exonerate himself. So, how much of his education is he going to try to use and manipulate in order to explain, in his defense, and try to get out of this? That'll be very interesting to see and to hear and whatnot. Because he probably thinks that he committed the perfect murder, in order, that he didn't, leave any kind of evidence behind or anything like that, or DNA. But I mean, there's no denying you can't dispute DNA. And so he's going to have to find some kind of way to explain his DNA on that knife sheath that killed these 4 people. And gee, I can't imagine what kind of an excuse he could come up with for that. I mean, that's just crazy. And and they've still yet to process his car. And no matter how much you try to clean a car up or whatever, you can't get rid of blood. You can't get rid of blood, period. And to even for him to be able to try to distort blood, you would have to use bleach, and no one's going to use bleach on trying to clean their car seats or car interior to get rid of anything like that, unless you've got white interior, which his car did not have white interior, so you wouldn't be using bleach on the inside. Gabby, honey, please don't dance back and forth in my space, honey. I love you. Sweet girl. She wants to just dance around all in my space and go back and forth. No, honey. Charlie, come get this cat. Hi, honey bear. She's so sweet. Oh, no. I'm going to love on you here in a minute. We're going to lay up and watch this crazy psychopath sister in a movie. How about that? You want to do that? You want to lay up and watch a slasher movie with me? As long as you don't use them slasher claws trying to make biscuits out of my bare legs. So, Charlie, what say you? What was there anything else you wanted that you want to talk about, or what you think or about any of this? What do you think about my comparison of the whole, denial manipulation game that we could possibly see out of him, comparing it to Charlie Manson? Everybody wants to compare him to Ted Bundy and BTK and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, we won't know any of that kind of stuff until we, get further evidence and from him or whatever. Yep, me too. I just want to know why. And the whole thing about what I was saying earlier about choosing victims at random. I don't think he chose these girls. Hi, Phyllis. How are you? Think you're going right away on this. Wonder what was going on with the girls that survived. Tall blonde showed me she was standing. Yeah, I know what you're saying, Phyllis. And I'm wondering, Gabby, honey, please get out of my space. If what you're seeing could have possibly been Dylan Mortensen, the tall blonde girl. I'm wondering what your vision may be, that you are possibly seeing Dylan Mortensen, is what I think, Phyllis. Because she did come face to face with him. That's something that came out in the probable cause affidavit, was that Dylan Mortensen did come face to face with the killer that night, and he let her live. He walked right on past her and went out the glass doors. So, Phyllis, let me ask you a question. Have you ever watched the show Psychic Detectives? There's a lady from Arkansas that has been on that show several times, and she's a psychic here in Arkansas, and she is absolutely the best. If this had happened to one of my kids, or one of my kids were missing or something, she'd be the first phone call I made before I called the police. Actually, I'd call her first, and then I would call and make a police report. Yeah, why again did he let her live? That, God, Charlie, only he knows the answer to that question. Why he chose to walk away, why he chose to spare her life. Maybe God works in mysterious ways. That's the only answer I know. That's, we could get into a whole nother can of worms, with why God allows these things to happen, and why this person and not that person, and all, and that kind of stuff. But yeah, only he and God know the answer to that question. One of the something else I read also was that Bryan is a libertarian, which I found. You've never seen that program? Oh, okay. Well, the woman I'm talking about, her name is Carol Pate, and she helped solve. Well, she's worked with police all over the world, solving cold cases and missing person cases and homicides and that kind of stuff. And she worked on. She helped find a friend of mine's son who was kidnapped here in Arkansas several years ago. She helped find a woman over by my house, actually, who had wandered off from the nursing home that was right down the street from my house. Carol is amazing, and like I said, if this had happened to my kids, or one of my kids were missing or something, she would be the first phone call I would make. And then I would call the police and file a police report, because I'm going to trust her, or have more faith in her than the police. I mean, that's how much I believe in Carol Pate. Carol Pate is she's just amazing. She's amazing. So, does anyone else have any questions or anything that you want to discuss? Phyllis, do you have any questions or anything that you want to discuss? I know you're kind of late getting here, so I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. It's just one of the details that I do want to know is why, how he first came into some kind of contact with the residents of 112 King Road, 1122 King Road. Oh yeah, I know, me too. Let's just hope that he talks. Let's just hope that he talks. So, but I think I'm going to go, guys. It's been a long day and I haven't felt good today, and it's been kind of a bad day. I think I'm going to curl up here with Gabby Girl and see if we can't watch this movie with Amanda Kohberger in it, and see how many parallels there is to what happened, because it's been said that there are some parallels to the movie compared to what her brother did. So so I'm gonna watch that, and maybe I'll give a little review on the movie. Yeah, I've gotta fix me a sandwich or something here too, before I settle down to watch the movie. You've been working on Dylan Rounds. I followed that case for a while and tried to kind of keep up with it. I didn't report on it, but that whole thing is just extremely confusing, and that may be something that may be a case that they have to end up calling a psychic in on, is the Dylan Rounds case. Oh, thank you, Charlie. Yeah, that's Ellie Mae. That's my girl. That's my grand dog. But yeah, they may have to end up seriously considering calling in a psychic on the Dylan Rounds case, because I can't even begin to know what exactly happened to that guy. But I'm glad you are keeping up with that case, and when like I said, I read articles on it, sporadically, but and I see stuff on it, but I haven't full blown kept up with it. I can only handle so many cases at a time, and when they start going cold, it's just you keep up with stuff, but like, how much more can you report on something? It's like, I think about Summer Wells every single day, and I named one of my cats after her to keep her memory alive, and every time she looks at me and meows, I just think about little Summer, and but what more can we say or report on or talk about or rehash that hasn't already been said? Okay, sure, yeah, let me know, Phyllis. I appreciate that. But what more can we say until somebody decides to beat the damn truth out of Candace and Dawn? Gabby, quit chewing on my lights, you little fart. No, you're not supposed to play with those. But why? They look so cool. Oh, goodness. I'm going to have to get her under wraps here. She's playing with my lights now. She's always getting herself into some kind of mischief, but until somebody decides to beat the damn truth out of Candace and Dawn, I just don't know what more we can say. And that's Ronnie Lawson's job. You know, Ronnie Lawson needs to take some pointers from Chief Fry. You know, don't let your ego get in the way of these cases. You know, let the FBI help you. Let outside sources help you, you know, and get off this damn ego trip, you know. I don't know to what extent he has interrogated Don and Candace, but obviously he hasn't interrogated them hard enough, in my opinion. So, y'all, I think I'm going to wrap it up, and, you know, and I will just, you know, I will, you know, keep you up to date as I am up to date. You know, like I said, I don't know how much of the evidence against the future evidence against Bryan Kohberger. I don't know how much more of it we will get, because there has been a gag order issued, and I completely understand that. They do want to try him in Moscow, Idaho. You know, they want to, this is their case, and they want to be able to try to find a jury pool, you know, to be able to try him there in the state of Idaho. So, you know, I completely understand that, and we don't, you know, want to leak anything that could, you know, give him any type of you know, heads up or whatever, because I got a feeling he's going to try hard, just like Jodi Arias did, to manipulate his way out of this. I see it coming a mile away. So, everyone, you all have a wonderful night, and please, please, everyone, be nice, be kind to people. You don't know what people are going through in their personal life. You know, be supportive of other people, because, you know, you just don't know what people are going through in the privacy of their own life. And be the change that you wish to see in this world. As Michael Jackson said, it starts with the man in the mirror. Good night, everybody. Thanks for coming in and participating in the chat, and I will talk to you all again soon.
Hey y'all, this is Elena from the Rudy Pearl Glamper True Crime Podcast. If you love all things true crime, then please hit the subscribe button down below, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. And please give us a thumbs up, because you're all invited back next week to this locality to have a heaping helping of our hospitality. True crime, that is. Set a spell. Take your shoes off. Y'all come back now. You hear?